And welcome, Aquarister here, back with another video, and today we are looking at my newest build. Now, lately I've been doing a lot of healer build, work with my life staff and flail video and all that, but it was time to start working on my light mage build because honestly, I started New World as a light mage with Ice Gauntlet being my primary, and that is what I have gone back to with this build. So this is my VGIG light mage build. Before we fully get into today's video, I do just want to say if this video helps you out or if you just like it, please drop it a like. It really does help me out a lot. And then if you would like to see more content like this, including more builds, farming videos, anything like that in the future, definitely subscribe to the channel so you are notified when those videos go up. I do also stream throughout the week on Twitch, so definitely stop by a stream if you'd like to see some of these builds in action, or maybe as I'm developing some of them, or if you just want to hang out, definitely stop by. We would love to have you. But let's get into today's video. As always, to get us started, we are going to start with the gear here. So taking a look at the armor first, we do have our first artifact, which is the Gray Wizard's Hat. Now this one you can actually go and pull from the tier 5 portals. It does have to be a major portal, and it won't actually drop in the cache from what I am understanding. It will only drop in your inventory. That's how everyone that I know who's pulled it, that's how it's dropped. I don't believe you can actually pull it from the cache specifically. But with this hat, what you get is you get extra intelligence out of it, and you also get 2 times the mana. So instead of having 100 mana, you are going to have 200 mana at that point. The other 2 perks that comes with it is refreshing and physical aversion, and I put actually ice harnessing on mine, which you'll kind of see why I went that route. With my chest piece, we have this piece right here, which I actually also pulled while I was farming for the hat, because this actually dropped from a cache. So opening the caches, I ended up getting this, which was perfect because I was farming the hat for this build. It just all kind of worked out well that way. My gloves I actually need to swap over here because I don't have it in my gear set. These are my new gloves. So these are Admiral's Claw. Any of the Admiral's gear, which you can actually make with the mutated materia, will have ice harnessing and elemental aversion, and then when you craft it, you'll get that 3rd perk as a random perk. On my gloves, I ended up getting refreshing, which honestly isn't that bad. Extra cooldown reduction, never a bad thing. Ideally, I would have wanted health just for that extra health, but honestly, refreshing is not that bad. These pants, I actually ended up crafting. Very, very happy with them. Ice harnessing, physical aversion, pylon burst, full int. Overall, really good pants that can translate over into medium armor in the future if I did need them to, but for right now, they work really well. And then these are my boots, or my peg leg, I guess. With this is also a mutated craft. I got ice harnessing elemental aversion as the guaranteed, and then this one did roll exactly how I wanted with health. Now, if I would have gotten refreshing, again, it wouldn't have been a bad thing, but health was my number 1 option that I wanted. So I'm really, really happy that we ended up getting that out of our boots. Next, with the jewelry. So this is actually the same amulet that I've been wearing with my healer build, and I've kind of gone back and forth with, do I want to wear an artifact for jewelry or should I just keep with this? So for right now, I am not wearing an artifact for my jewelry pieces. I am just running what I've got. So we do have the health, divine, and thrust protection. The thrust protection for OPR is actually extremely nice to have. Even in PVE, with the bows and stuff like that, any of the thrusts that we do end up taking for damage, it ends up working out really well because of this amulet. With the ring, I did end up crafting this. We got hardy ice damage crippling with full int, 690. Obviously, I wish it was a 700, but with 690, it was significantly cheaper. So we went that route, and those are the 3 perks that I for sure wanted on my ring. Really, really happy with it. The slow lasting longer works great, and you'll see why I extra like that slowing lasting longer. And then obviously the ice damage topped with all of our ice harnessing just makes it so all of our ice damage is significantly stronger. For my earring, I actually crafted this one out of materia. It's a Mammoth's Revenge, full int. Initially, it had nimble, healthy toast. I was really hoping for refreshing toast, and that is exactly what we got. So it worked out great. Really good earring. You yourself could go out and craft this as well and have a pretty easy time getting it, because I believe refreshing toast has a pretty high drop chance in that perk bucket. As for the weapons, we'll start with the artifact, the Life Taker. A lot of you know this artifact. It does work really well with a lot of range builds. And then for my perk, I put Slowing Tether on it, which I went a little bit back and forth because of the PvE side of it, but honestly, for PvE, what I really like is that Baleful Tether now inflicts Disintegrate every second. So when you tether something, you get those 3 stacks of Incinerate or Disintegrate right away. So it's kind of nice to just immediately get those stacks, and then with those stacks, you're applying the rend, all that weakening and all that stuff that you want out of your Disintegrate. So it is really nice for that. And then for PvP, obviously the slow is amazing. And then we have our crippling ring. So then the slowing tether also applies that crippling as well. So it works out really, really well. I'm really happy with the way I have my Void Gauntlet. And then for the Ice Gauntlet, I ended up going with an Unending Thaw Refreshing Move Ice Gauntlet. And then the third perk that I got with it happened to be Keen, which I'm really not upset with because the way int works now is at the 200 int mark. Instead of getting extra 10 mana when you dodge, it is now you get 10 mana when you crit. So higher crit chance means that we have a higher chance of getting free mana back. So I really don't mind that. And our pylon can actually trigger that, so we can get mana kind of flowing in without us having to actually like focus on a target. All right, so that's all the gear. Heart rune wise, kind of play whatever you want to play. I really like the Bile Bomb, as you might have seen in some of my previous videos. I run Bile Bomb a lot. I think it's a fantastic ability. I think for PvE, PvP, overall, it's really, really good. So I do like Bile Bomb, but honestly, you can run Cannon, but you can run whatever Heart rune you want to run. I just like Bile Bomb. For an overall AoE type of an attack. So, but use whatever heart rune you have fun with, definitely, because heart runes should be fun. Just go out there and whatever seems like it's a good idea for you, just try it, see if you like it. But next, let's go take a look over at the attributes, and then we'll have a look at the mastery after that. All right, so taking a look at our attributes here, you can see you have a pretty straightforward layout here. We have 152 con because I have been taking a 48 con food. If you don't have the 48 con food, you can run the 40 con food, run 160 con, and then the rest into int. But we are just stacking intelligence. Now, I did try running some other kind of more quirky types of builds where I tried like 50 int to see would the heavy attack make a difference. It did not matter. Focus, if you wanted to go with the extra ability cooldown, you definitely could. And honestly, focus is going to be more beneficial because of the Void Gauntlet, I guess. But overall, I've just found, like, for me personally, the best layout is to just go full int. But definitely, I mean, try some other combinations. If you guys find a combination that works for you with the attributes, please, please, please put it in the comments so I can test it out and take a look and try it out myself. Because, obviously I tried testing different things, but I might miss stuff, or, I might not think of it in the way that you guys might think of it. So definitely let me know if there's like a combination of attributes, especially that you're liking, because, with the changes that they've made to some of the attribute perks and the fact that they gave us 25 points, or a 25 point perk, it does kind of change the game a little bit for some people. So for me, though, the full int with just con and int seems to work really well. Plus with magnify, we all know how magnify is right now. So sometimes it's easier to just have 2 specific attributes and just to stick with it until they can kind of figure out a good system for magnify. But yeah, so that's the attributes for what I've been running. Let's take a look over at the actual weapon builds next. Okay, so looking at the weapon builds, we'll start with the Ice Gauntlet here. And with the Ice Gauntlet build, this is my pylon build. I do have a couple other Ice Gauntlet builds that I have run in the past, but this is the pylon build that I've been running and really, really happy with. So with pylon, we do try to get all of our skills fully leveled up because each of them is very, very important to get fully leveled up for the perks. And then on the builder side, in order to get that bottom perk, we do end up getting Refreshing Frost. Very, very important perk to have because you do get a 20% cooldown when you're casting ability in a frosted area, which does apply towards our ultimate frost because it creates this frosted area that's 5 meters in radius from our pylon. So then any of our ice abilities that we're casting within that frosted area, we're getting a 20% cooldown on it. That also, on the flip side, counts for if we lay down an ice storm and we use an ability within our ice storm, we also get that cooldown, or vice versa with our ice shower. If we cast it while we're in our ice shower, then we end up getting that cooldown. So overall, very, very good perk to have is the Refreshing Frost. And then I did go with the Defiant Freeze, so we do get a 20% Fortify. whenever we are using an ability. So when we use that ice shower specifically, we get that 20% fortify, which is really nice because a lot of times our ice shower is going to be more of an escape or we're trying to stop them. But usually we're, a lot closer to the enemy when we are using that. So having the 20% fortify, even if it's for 2 seconds, can kind of save your life sometimes just by giving you that little bit of extra armor. On the Ice Tempest side, obviously we have Ice Storm all the way leveled up. For the top perk, I did end up going with Cold Reach. It just increases your basic attacks by 15% within 15 meters of a player. The other option is to do gain 15 mana whenever you critically hit a target. If you're having mana problems, you can definitely go that route, but I found that I haven't needed to do that, especially running Void Gauntlet, where you can get a quick burst of mana if you have to with your right click. I just ended up going with the more damage. The other one is Critical Frost. Critical Frost is really, really nice because then on the flip side, in order to get the most out of the 10 mana with crits from the 200 intelligence, then anyone that's in a frost area, then we are doing 15% more crit chance. So ideally, we're going to be getting more of that 10 mana back per attack. And then one of the other very, very important perks is the Heavy Freeze, which just does a root. If they're in your Ice Storm and then they have that Frostbite from the Unending Thaw, you can then just hit them with a heavy attack and it will freeze them. It'll root them for 1 second. Works really, really well for catching people or just slowing down someone as they're trying to run. All right, so that is the Ice Gauntlet build. Let's take a look over at the Void Gauntlet. So this Void Gauntlet build is very specific. I really, really like it. It is a little bit more, I guess you could say it's more advanced of a build because of the Glimpse of the Void. But Glimpse of the Void is really, really easy to work around once you understand how it works and what you're doing with it. So with this Tether build, we'll start with the Annihilation side. We obviously have all of our abilities fully leveled up. I think all of them have benefits. Other than Tether, you may not have to level all the way up. It's up to you. But with the left side, I ended up going with Forsaken Pact, so we get the 10% damage while below 50% mana. We get the Empowerment when casting abilities within 5 meters, which we do fairly often. The Harvest Drain reduced by 35% for the health. So I really, really like this because I do actually use Harvest Essence, the right click with your Void Gauntlet. I do use that to get mana back, so it's nice to not have my health drained as much. So I do actually really like that perk. And then the last one on this side is the Refreshing Frailty. So plus 5% cooldown reduction on all abilities when successfully hitting enemies afflicted by 3 or more debuff stacks, which, I mean, we end up having a lot of debuffs stacked on enemies anyway, so I think it actually works really, really well. I run it. Definitely, if you feel like you're not getting as much use out of it, definitely try a different perk to see what works better for you. On the Decay side, we have both abilities fully leveled. Like I said, with Tether, you do not have to go with this last one if you think there's another perk that fits better. I just go for it because it's just a little extra healing. It's not a ton, but it is a little extra. And then for the passive perks, we go with the mana cost reduction well above 50% mana. Really, really nice to just save that mana cost. Using Harvest Essence now removes 1 debuff. So again, I do use Harvest Essence to get my mana back. So being able to also remove a debuff with it, even though I don't do it on purpose a lot of times, it will end up removing the debuff and works out great. And then for the last one, I do go with Mending Evasion, which, again, it's not a huge heal, but it is a little extra heals, which, anything that I can get just a little bit of extra healing just from a dodge or whatever, I'll take it. Health is health at that point. But again, you don't have to go with that one. If you do think that there's another perk that works better for you, definitely go with it. And then, like I said, we do Glimpse of the Void. So with Glimpse of the Void, the way this works is essentially like, let's take our orb, for example, because I like to run Orb of Decay. And let's say there's a big group of enemies, whether it's PvP or PvE, and you shoot that orb and you just see all the numbers pop and you explode it in the middle of them and you hit all of them and you know that you hit, 4 or more at least. Then what you're going to do is land a heavy attack. And with that heavy attack, that will actually reset all of your Void Gauntlet cooldowns. So essentially the way that I'm doing it is I'm doing a Tether, Oblivion, and then my Orb. And then ideally between my Tether and my Orb, because once I tether something, that counts. And then if I can hit my Orb, then I only have to hit 3 enemies at 3 stacks of the Void Essence, in which then I can land that heavy and get all 3 of those cooldowns back. So it takes a little bit of practice and a little just like understanding how it works. But once you get a feel for Glimpse of the Void, it's amazing because you can throw a tether, circle, orb, land a heavy, switch back to your Ice Gauntlet, lay down all your Ice Gauntlet abilities while you have your empowerment, and then switch back to your Void and continue back with your cooldown. So it's a really, really cool ability to have. It just takes some practice to get used to it, but I really, really like it. So one other thing with the build before we move on to some gameplay is when you are trying to stack your empowerments for your Pylon and your Ice Storm. What I'm going to recommend is start with your Tether, then your Circle, then your Pylon, then your Ice Storm. And the reason why I'm suggesting that order is because your Tether and your Circle are going to trigger your empowerments. Once those empowerments are triggered, then you drop your Pylon, which will then be empowered by those empowerments from the Void. And then from there, you're going to use your Ice Storm. Your Ice Storm is then going to have that 20% cooldown because you're in the frosted area. And then from there, you still have your Ice Shower as your peel if you need to back out of a situation or if you need to stop someone. By using that Ice Shower, you're then getting another 20% cooldown on your Ice Storm. So by the time you're done with your Ice Shower, you have your Ice Storm back, and then you should have all of your cooldowns from your Void back as well. So definitely make sure to do your Tether, your Circle, and then your Ice cooldowns. If you do your Pylon first, it is not going to actually utilize all of your empowerments from what I had tested. Now, that could have just been kind of buggy for me, but when we were testing it, I had to do it in that order in order to stack all the empowerment properly for the Pylon. So that's just what I've been doing, and it's been working great. The Ice Storms have been hitting really, really hard. That's kind of the whole idea, is I wanted my Ice Storms to be a lot stronger, and I'm really, really happy with where the build's at. All right, so that was a lot. This is the build. This is the Void Gauntlet build, the Ice Gauntlet build. But I've been having a lot of fun with it. So next, I'm going to show you some gameplay of me having some fun with the build. So enjoy some gameplay of the VGIG Light Mage build. All right, that is going to do it for today's video. So thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Like I said earlier, if you do like the video, please drop it a like. It does help me out a lot. And if you'd like to see more content like this, definitely subscribe so you are notified when more of those videos pop up. And then I also do stream throughout the week on Twitch, so definitely stop by a stream, check out the builds as I'm working on them, or just hang out, anything like that. We would love to have you. But that is going to do it for today's video, so thank you very much, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.